So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to lecture number 1 of Science and Technology in this lecture series called Prelims Powerplay 2026. Through this lecture series, you will get to cover all your current affairs. You will revise all your current affairs subject-wise. But that's not it. Along with those current affairs, we will also cover the static topics, the associated static topics. Because we all know that static topics which have some connection with current affairs have a high chance of featuring in your prelims examination. Therefore, we will not just restrict ourselves to current affairs, we will also revise static topics of your entire UPSC syllabus for prelims. And you just have to spend 1 hour of your day to do all of this. Just 1 hour of your day every day from now till your prelims examination, and everything would be revised. No need to wait for your revision till February, March, April. No, begin your revision now. And because if you'll begin your revision now, you'll just have to spend 1 hour. That's it. 1 hour with this Prelims Powerplay lecture series and everything would be revised. Now, to get the real benefit of this lecture series, you will have to follow these 4 essential steps. Step number 1, watch the lecture on time every day at 9 p.m. Don't keep your lectures pending. Be regular with it. Okay? Step number 2, along with the lectures, we will also give you notes. Those notes would contain whatever information was covered in the lecture plus some extra information also. Memorize those notes daily. Okay, as soon as you're done with the lecture, memorize it from the notes. That's step number 2. Then, step number 3, naturally you'll have some doubts. We'll be enrolling you in our WhatsApp group specifically created to entertain all your doubts. So ask your doubts over there. Don't be hesitant. Ask your doubts as soon as they occur to you. And step number 4, which is the most important. Along with this lecture series, we will also give you a test series, which will contain an exhaustive list of tests. We will make you practice ample MCQs so that you are exhausted. Make sure you are regular with those tests. Okay, this is step number 4. This is very important. Now, as far as step number 1 is concerned, that's not an issue at all. Every day the lecture would come on YouTube. But for step number 2, that is notes, for WhatsApp groups, for tests, you would have to register on our app or on our website. The registration details of both app and website are given in the comment section below. The links are given, you just have to click on the link. And in case you are finding any difficulty with respect to registration for this Powerplay series, there is also a number in the comment section. Just WhatsApp us on that number and we will take it forward from there. Okay? Alright then. Enough of the introduction. Let's straight away jump into today's lecture. And our today's topic of discussion is, we will begin our Science and Technology lecture series with biotechnology. Okay? Because 2025 was the year where government took so many initiatives with respect to biotechnology. Right? Therefore, it is very important for us to cover biotechnology because science-based questions from biotechnology are highly probable. Now, in today's lecture, we'll not just focus on current affairs related to biotechnology, we'll also cover some static information regarding biotechnology in the beginning. So first, we'll start with biotechnology, the concept of biotechnology, types of biotechnology like red biotechnology, white biotechnology, gold biotechnology. We'll cover all of this. And then we'll talk about a couple of initiatives that Government of India took to boost this sector in India. Okay, so today's lecture is going to be information laden. Pay close attention and let's begin. Okay then. So Science and Technology lecture number 1 and biotechnology. Okay, so first we'll begin with the definition of biotechnology, or what is biotechnology. Okay, as the name suggests, technology is, we all know what technology is. Bio is anything related to living organisms. That can be plants, animals, cells, tissues, bacteria, fungi, anything. Whenever we create useful products by engineering living organisms, that is biotechnology. So for example, when you create BT cotton, so in BT cotton, you are using genetic engineering to create a specific seed, biotechnology. Basically, when you use technology on living organisms to produce useful applications. So for example, we engineer bacteria to produce a specific enzyme that is used in industries. We engineer bacteria to produce antibiotics also. Okay, we produce so many products, growth hormone, vaccines, and many other things by engineering viruses, bacteria, cells, tissues, all these things. All of this comes under biotechnology. Okay, so this is the basic definition. Let's gather some more details about it. Okay, so biotechnology. So biotechnology involves using living organisms, cells, or their components to develop products, okay, useful products and technologies for medicine, agriculture, industry. Okay, so when we produce useful applications from living organisms, that's what biotechnology is. Now, let me tell you one thing. What do you think? How old is biotechnology? Was biotechnology discovered in 20th century, 19th century? No, biotechnology was discovered, well, since humanity started. How? You all know there is a thing called milk, and there are milk based products like curd, okay, and many other fermented products. Well, to produce a lot of these products, we use yeast. Okay, we also use yeast to brew alcohol. And alcohol was discovered 5000 BC, 7000 BC. So our ancestors knew how to use yeast to ferment products, right? That was ancient biotechnology. Ancient practices like fermentation marks early biotechnology. Okay, that is, so we have been exploiting animals, microorganisms to produce useful human products for consumption. But modern era began in 1970s with recombinant DNA technology, with genetic engineering. When we discovered genetic engineering, or when we discovered how to manipulate an organism's DNA, that's when biotechnology blasted. Okay, and today modern biotechnology is very advanced, very complex than using yeast to ferment alcohol. Okay, nonetheless, just to give you an idea what is biotechnology, that's why I wrote this line. Now, today, biotechnology relies on two main principles. One is biotechnology through genetic engineering, when you manipulate the DNA. Okay, you can either change the DNA of an organism, you can do cloning, or you can add a bacteria's DNA, some fragments of bacteria's DNA into another organisms. That's how we produce BT cotton. BT cotton seed contains bacterial genes as well. Okay, so you combine the DNA of two organisms. That is recombinant DNA technology. So all of this is possible through genetic engineering. This is biotechnology. Then bioprocess engineering. What is bioprocess engineering? Do you know that how we produce insulin? There is a particular bacteria that produces insulin. Now that bacteria is small, it will produce very little insulin. Okay, so you create a culture of bacteria in artificial environment. You create a lab where you artificially grow bacteria which produce insulin, and you grow billions and billions of bacteria which produce insulin, and then you extract insulin out of it. That is just one example. Similarly, we produce vaccines, we produce enzymes, industrial enzymes through this process. This is known as bioprocess engineering. Natural processes just tweaked a little to produce human products. Human useful products. Okay, useful for humans. Basically, that's what I was trying to say. All right, this is bioprocess engineering, when you tweak natural processes for your own benefit. Genetic engineering, when you play God with nature. Okay, when you change the DNA. Clear? Now, key techniques used in genetic engineering. First, let's talk about genetic engineering. So, number one is recombinant DNA technology. It combines DNA from different sources, different organisms, and then do cloning. This technology. Then PCR. You remember when there was COVID testing was being done. One particular test was RT-PCR. Remember RT-PCR? RT-PCR basically is PCR reaction. PCR stands for polymerase chain reaction. So when you want to analyze a particular DNA, that is very small. So you need to multiply that DNA fragment. Okay, produce many copies of that DNA. That happens through PCR. Amplify specific DNA segment rapidly. So coronavirus, okay, wouldn't be detectable. But when you take the swab from nose or mouth, okay, and then you do PCR test, so it multiplies the DNA of that coronavirus so that you can test it. This is PCR. Then vectors and hosts. Sometimes viruses are used to transmit genes to a bacteria. So let's suppose you are modifying a bacteria to produce insulin. How will you modify it? You will change its DNA. How will you change its DNA? You will add some extra genes into it. How will those extra genes be added to that bacteria? You won't just throw it away. You use a virus, dummy virus, to enter that bacteria and transport that gene. So in that case, bacteria becomes host, and the transporting engine that is the virus, is the vector. Okay, you use this technique, plus you produce, there are certain enzymes that are used in genetic engineering. So what happens in genetic engineering? There is a DNA, you cut some segment of DNA and then you add basically another segment of DNA. But to add another segment of DNA, you need to cut the DNA that you want to extract. For cutting, you require some enzymes like ligase to join, endorestriction nuclease. There are various enzymes which are used to cut and join DNA. That is required in genetic engineering. So these are some of the techniques. Okay. Key applications of genetic engineering are producing insulin, vaccines, gene therapy to cure cystic fibrosis. Genetic engineering is used in agriculture also for GM crops, okay, and industry also for producing various enzymes in food, textile. So there are multiple applications. Clear? Similarly, when we talk about bioprocess engineering, well, that also requires certain steps. You remember in bioprocess engineering, I gave you an example that bacteria is artificially grown in multiples. That is known as a bacterial culture. That artificial environment in which bacteria would be grown is called bioreactors. These are vessels where cells or enzymes perform biochemical transformation. Then upstreaming process, when you gather bacteria, culturing cells, optimize microbial strains, and preparing the chamber, the bioreactor. This is upstream processing, where you prepare the chamber and add bacteria. Then that bacteria produces insulin, then you have to filter that insulin out. That is downstreaming process. Okay. Biotransformation using living systems for chemical modifications, that's different. But bioprocess engineering also has many applications. Okay. For antibiotics are produced through this only, through bioreactors only. Food, fermented food, biofuels are produced through this. Okay. Ethanol, many biofuels are produced through this. So yeah, these are some of the applications. That's about it. Now, very important fact from static biotechnology, and that is types of biotechnology. Now you see, biotechnology is divided into different categories. There are different types of biotechnology, and every type has been given a color. So there is red biotechnology, golden biotechnology, white biotechnology, blue biotechnology. Okay, so let's talk about these color coded schemes. So yeah, what is red biotechnology? Biotechnology used for medical applications, okay, to produce vaccines, gene therapy, antibiotics. That is red biotechnology. Okay, so biotechnology used for medicine, red. For agriculture, biotechnology to produce GM crops and agricultural technologies, green biotechnology. Then white is for industrial, for manufacturing various enzymes and all, used in industries. Then blue, well, biotechnology used for aquaculture, marine drugs, environmental cleanup. Okay, but aquaculture, basically biotechnology for fish rearing. Okay, so blue, water, so it's easy to remember. Okay, red, medicine, green, agriculture, white is a little difficult to remember, but associated with manufacturing. Then there are other color coded schemes as well. Yellow biotechnology, when you use biotechnology for food processing. Then gray biotechnology or dark green, but mostly gray. That is when you use biotechnology to clean pollution, to remove pollution. And we use biotechnology to remove pollution. There are certain bacteria, genetically engineered bacteria, that digest oil. So whenever there is an oil spill in the ocean, you release these bacteria and they clean up that oil spill, water pollution, ocean pollution. So gray biotechnology. Then gold biotechnology. Gold biotechnology is when you combine IT with biotech. Okay, bioinformatics, DNA analysis, data processing. Our DNA contains so much information. You have to process it in computers, gold biotechnology. And then there are others like brown for desert biotech, purple for legal, ethical aspects. Okay, there is a legal architecture with respect to biotechnology. What can you do to animals? What can you not do to animals? All of this. Okay, and many more. Black biotechnology when you use bioterrorism. Simple. Okay. So yeah, this is as far as the static portion with respect to biotechnology is concerned that you have to absolutely remember. Now, let's talk about certain schemes of the government. Okay. Now, the thing is, India is a biotechnology giant and India has a huge potential. Now, as far as market is concerned, India's biotechnology market is currently $165 billion. and it is projected to expand to double by 2030. It will reach $300 billion. Okay, our bioeconomy, biotechnology economy is known as bioeconomy. Our bioeconomy is expected to reach $300 billion by 2030 and generate 10 million new jobs. Okay, so that is the potential, but we need to be able to capitalize on that potential. Okay, and to capitalize on that potential, we need government support. Therefore, government has launched a few schemes, okay, a few policies. We need to be familiar with those policies. All right, okay then. Policy number one, which is the foundational umbrella policy, is Bio E3 policy. It was launched in August 2024, but you might be saying, you must say this, that, sir, well, it is old current affairs. Well, it's not, because in 2025, many initiatives under Bio E3 policy were taken. So therefore, we have to cover this also. But for information, you should know that it was launched on August 2024, precisely 7th August. But nonetheless, that's not important. Day is not important. Year is important. So what is this Bio E3 policy? Let's talk about this, okay? So about the policy. So Bio E3, first of all, bio means biotechnology. What does E3 stands for? Well, E3 stands for biotechnology for economy, for environment, to fight climate change, okay, and to remove pollution and employment. So E3 stands for economy, environment, employment. Approved by Union Cabinet on August 23, 2024, not 7, 24, 23, August 23, stands for biotechnology for economy, environment, employment. Okay. What is its main objective? To position India as a global biomanufacturing leader. Now, what is biomanufacturing? Biomanufacturing refers to the use of plants, animals, and microbes, bacteria, viruses, to produce commercial products. Like using bacteria to produce vaccines, this is a commercial product. Okay, to produce antibiotics, this is a commercial product. Okay, to produce enzymes, this is a commercial product. Then to produce insulin, hormones, growth hormone, which are artificially given to people. Okay, and animals also. You know, in cattle rearing, cattle is given somatotropin and growth hormones. Right, they are injected with that. So all these are commercial products. These commercial products are produced through biotechnology. So all of this comes under the umbrella term of biomanufacturing. And India has the capacity to become biomanufacturing giant, to produce useful products using biotechnology. This is high-tech manufacturing. Okay, so it aims to position India as a global leader in biomanufacturing. Now, this entire policy is overseen by Department of Biotechnology and BIRAC, basically DBT only. Okay, it builds on India's bioeconomy growth from 10 billion in 2014 to 165 billion by 2025. So currently we are at 165 billion and we are projected to reach 300 billion. Can you just look at the growth in 15 years? In 2014, it was just mere 10 billion. Now it is going to be 300 billion. That's a lot. Surely we are doing something right. Okay. It targets expansion to 300 billion by 2030 through sustainable high performance biomanufacturing. All right. Now, what are the key focus areas? This is important because MCQs can be asked. So it basically focuses on 3 thematic pillars, verticals. Okay. First focus would be on precision biotherapeutics. Precision biotherapeutics, what is the meaning of the word precision? Precision means precise, which requires proper measurement, calibration, okay, very minute measurement. Okay. And biotherapeutics, well, those biological products that are used in medicine for health, like vaccines, diagnostics, gene therapies. Okay. Then second is bio-based chemicals and enzymes for industry, waste reduction chemicals, then smart proteins and functional foods for nutritional security, food security. Okay. Can you associate colors with these verticals? Okay, which is gold biotechnology, purple biotechnology, white biotechnology. For example, this is white, this is red. For other 4, you have to find it out. Okay. Climate resilient agriculture. Okay, pest resistant crops. Again, green. Okay, I'll give you one more hint. Green biotechnology. Then carbon capture and utilization, basically reduce carbon emissions for that. Then produce biofuels like ethanol and many other biofuels, okay, which will be used for energy by burning them, but they won't emit that many greenhouse gases. So these are the 6 verticals in which we will produce products. Make sense? Okay. So these are the focus areas. Now, what is the framework? Basically, what will be established so that these 6 focus areas would be focused on? Who will focus on these 6 focus areas? So government will establish bio AI hubs. So there will be bio factories, which are known as, so bio factories, you understand factory, you understand factories that produce products using biotechnology are bio factories. But we don't use the word bio factories. We use the word bio foundries. So remember this term, bio foundries. Okay. So bio foundries, which will be enabled with AI. Then biomanufacturing hubs, similar. Then we will create regulations, rules and regulations, which will align with global best practices so that biomanufacturing in India is ethical, as per ethical standards, and no law is violated. Plus, a lot of data, private data would be generated, okay? Because if we are talking about health, then human genetic data would also be generated. So to ensure data privacy, there will be data governance framework also. Plus, Indian data shouldn't be shared abroad, so that would also be there. Okay, so these 4 things would be established so that we can properly focus on these 6 areas. Simple. All right. By the way, in your notes, some extra information is also given. Benefits of this Bio E3 policy, challenges of this Bio E3 policy. It is also given. Do check it out. Okay. These are basically benefits and challenges are important from the perspective of mains, but nonetheless, sometimes prelims related questions are also asked from benefits and challenges. So I'm mentioning it in your notes. Okay. And now let's move on to another initiative that was launched by Government of India this year in August. Okay. And this initiative is part of Bio E3 policy. It is under Bio E3 policy. And that is National Biofoundry Network. Now you know what is the meaning of this word biofoundry, biofactories. So we will establish various big biofoundries all over India, but we'll also connect them also so that they can collaborate and cooperate. That is National Biofoundry Network. This was launched under Bio E3 policy. Okay. Now what is in National Biofoundry Network? So India's first National Biofoundry Network was launched on August 25, 2025, which also marked the first anniversary of Bio E3 policy. The initiative is under DBT, and the purpose is to scale biotechnology research into market-ready solutions. You see, biomanufacturing is complicated. Remember, I told you that biomanufacturing is that manufacturing that requires biotechnology. But biotechnology is a highly scientific pursuit. Okay, to produce extraordinarily useful products, you have to do a lot of R&D first. A lot of R&D would be done first. Okay, a lot of research would be done, and then that research would be applied to produce, or we say manufacturing. That is why they say biomanufacturing is highly skilled, high-tech manufacturing, because it involves a lot of R&D also. So someone will come up with an idea that we can do this. Then research would be done on this. Then we would validate that idea, whether this idea will work or not. And then we will produce products from this. So there are a lot of things. All of that will be facilitated through this network. Okay. To scale market-ready solutions from biotechnology research. Research in universities would be used to produce products, commercial products. Main objective is to aid in the scale-up of proof of concept. An idea that works is known as proof of concept. And if that idea works, now let's produce stuff from it. Okay, products from it. It is key component of Bio E3 policy and categorized as bio-enablers. Okay. Now, under Bio E3 policy, government said that we will establish many bio-enablers. Okay, bio-enablers. National Biofoundry Network is one such bio-enabler. So the question is, what are bio-enablers? So these key terms. So what is a bio-enabler? Bio-enablers are key infrastructure platforms like biofoundries, biomanufacturing hubs, and bio-AI hubs established by DBT, Department of Biotechnology, to accelerate advanced biomanufacturing. So you will establish these factories, these AI-enabled biofoundries, bio-AI hubs, that will help in implementation of Bio E3 policy. This is Bio Enabler. They will enable Bio E3 policy. So this is there. By the way, we already know the definition of biofoundry, so there is no point in discussing it again. All right. Now, some key institutions of the government would be involved in this National Foundry Network. Okay. The names of these institutions and their full forms are given in your notes also, so do check that out. Okay. And what would be the key role, key functions of National Biofoundry Network? Scaling up research activities across all focus areas, thematic areas, like International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology is working on creating second generation biofuels. Okay, so research is there. Then IIT Madras is working on hyaluronic acid, which is used in batteries. Then the network offers shared infrastructure. So startups don't have to spend that much money in creating labs and everything. That would be created by government. They just have to hire it. So infrastructure is already prepared for startups and MSMEs. It also provides training and internships to, well, people, so that we will create a skilled workforce in biotechnology. Remember, I told you, biomanufacturing is a highly skilled job. So you need trained workforce. This initiative will do that as well. Simple, clear? So yeah, this is scheme number 2. And in the end, there is India's bioeconomy. Okay. So some extra information is given in your notes with respect to India's bioeconomy. Basically, what is bioeconomy? Well, economy of biotechnology. Okay. So how much money India, what is the market potential of India's biotechnology? Okay. What is the market size of India's biotechnology? That is bioeconomy. And we have gathered some details also. Like at one point of time in 2014, we were just 10 billion. And today, in just 10 years, we have, well, increased our market share by 10 times, 165 billion. And now India's bioeconomy is projected to reach $300 billion by 2030. Now, what are the key drivers of this increase? What is driving this increase? Well, these are the key drivers. Biopharmaceuticals, using biotechnology to produce pharmaceutical products, vaccines, medicines. Then there is huge export demand because India produces vaccines and medicines for cheap. So there is huge demand in developing countries. So this is driving growth. Then startups are coming up in biotech, 10,000 plus startups in biotech. That's good. And government initiatives like Bio E3 policy, National Biofoundry Network, this is supporting the growth. Okay. Plus some extra information is given in your notes with respect to India's bioeconomy. Do check that out. And with that, we'll conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it has added value to your preparation, but it will add more value if you'll register for this lecture series. Just watching it won't do the job. It won't help you in prelims. If you watch it, memorize it from the notes, ask your doubts, and are regular with the tests, with these 4 essential golden steps only, you can clear prelims. Trust this lecture series, join this lecture series, and trust me, you will really reap some dividends out of it. Okay, your prelims, your chances in prelims would be extraordinary. So join Prelims Powerplay lecture series. And that would be all from my side, guys. I shall see you next time with another topic in this lecture series called Prelims Powerplay. Thank you, everyone.